You're lying in bed on a Tuesday night, scrolling, and there he is again. Same guy you saw last week. He's standing next to a Lamborghini, talking about how he made $40,000 last month, doing something that takes him just a few hours a day. He looks relaxed, he looks free. And somewhere in the back of your brain, a quiet voice whispers, "Why not me?" So you watch the next video, and the next. A girl your age showing off her apartment in Dubai. A 23-year-old talking about his passive income streams. A guy on a yacht explaining cryptocurrency like it's the most obvious thing in the world. And without realizing it, you've spent 45 minutes consuming a version of reality that was very carefully designed to make you feel like you're losing. Here's what nobody tells you about that feeling. It's not accidental. It's not just envy. It's a psychological mechanism being used against you, and it's quietly doing more damage to your financial life than almost anything else. Because it's not just making you feel bad, it's changing how you spend, it's changing what you buy, it's changing how you think about wealth itself. And by the time most people figure out what's happening, years of real money have already been lost chasing a version of success that was never real to begin with. Today, we're going to dismantle it, piece by piece. Let's go back about 15 years before the algorithm knew your name. If you wanted to compare yourself financially to other people, your reference points were pretty limited. Your neighbors, your coworkers, maybe some family friends, the people you could actually see in real life, living real lives, and even then you only saw the surface. Psychologists have a name for this tendency to measure our own success by comparing it to the people around us. They call it social comparison theory, and it's been part of human psychology as long as we've lived in groups. We are wired, deeply, evolutionarily wired, to look at the people around us and ask, how am I doing relative to them? For most of human history, that comparison group was small, local, real, messy. You'd see your neighbor's nice car, but you'd also know he was stressed about the mortgage. You'd see your coworker's vacation photos, but you'd also know she was working 60-hour weeks to afford it. The full picture was available, even if you didn't always look. Then, social media arrived, and overnight, your comparison group went from 5,000 to 5 billion. Except it wasn't 5 billion real people. It was 5 billion highlight reels, carefully selected moments, filtered, staged, lit correctly, captioned strategically. The algorithm made sure you saw the most aspirational content from the most aspirational seeming people at the exact moment you were most emotionally receptive to it. And we walked right into it, because our brains were never built for this. We're running ancient psychological software in a world that has been completely re-engineered to exploit it. The comparison instinct that once helped us navigate small communities is now being used to sell us things we don't need, using money we don't have, to impress people we've never met. Here's where it gets really important, and I want you to follow this carefully because this is where the actual financial damage happens. When you are constantly exposed to images of extreme wealth, something very specific happens in your brain. Your internal benchmark for normal shifts upward. Psychologists call this lifestyle creep by proxy. You haven't earned more money, but your sense of what a reasonable standard of living looks like has silently inflated.
Let's make this concrete with a story. Imagine a 26-year-old named Aisha. She earns a decent salary, she has a nice apartment, a reliable car, savings she's been quietly building. By any objective measure, she is doing well. And for a while, she felt like she was. Then the algorithm gets to her. Every day, without fail, her feed fills up with people her age in bigger apartments, wearing better clothes, traveling more, driving newer cars. None of it is presented as exceptional. It's presented as normal. This, the feed implies, is just what people like you are doing. And slowly, quietly, Aisha stops feeling like she's doing well. Her apartment starts feeling small. Her car starts feeling embarrassing. Her savings, which she used to feel proud of, start feeling pointless. Because why sacrifice the life she could be living right now for some distant future that might never come? So she upgrades the apartment. She leases a newer car. She starts buying the clothes, the gadgets, the experiences that signal the kind of life she's been watching. Not because she made a conscious financial decision, but because her entire sense of what she deserved quietly shifted without her noticing. This is the trap, and it's almost invisible from the inside.
The financial term for what happens next is lifestyle inflation. Your spending expands to match or exceed your income, leaving nothing behind to build real wealth. But in Aisha's case, it's worse than typical lifestyle inflation. She wasn't even responding to her own income rising. She was responding to other people's performances of wealth. She inflated her spending based on a fiction. And here's the cruelest part of the whole thing. Most of the people she was watching were doing exactly the same thing. Studies consistently show that a significant portion of wealth flex content online is either exaggerated, borrowed, or completely fabricated. Rented Lamborghinis, Airbnb styled to look like owned penthouses, revenue screenshots that show gross income before expenses, taxes, and the 6 months it took to earn it. The yacht belongs to someone else. The watch is a rental. The business making passive income requires 80 hours a week and is barely profitable. The illusion is almost perfectly constructed, and we are almost perfectly designed to fall for it. Now let's go even deeper, because there's a psychological layer here that most people never talk about. There's a concept called relative deprivation, the feeling of lacking something not because you actually lack it, but because someone near you or someone you're comparing yourself to appears to have more of it. It's not hunger, it's hunger by comparison. And research shows that relative deprivation doesn't just feel bad, it drives genuinely destructive financial behavior. When people feel relatively deprived, they are significantly more likely to take financial risks, make impulsive purchases, take on debt, and prioritize visible status signaling spending over quiet wealth building. In other words, the worse social media makes you feel about your financial situation, the worse your financial decisions tend to become. It's a self-reinforcing cycle of bad outcomes dressed up as aspiration. And the algorithm knows this, not consciously, but structurally. Content that provokes comparison performs better. Content that makes you feel slightly inadequate keeps you scrolling longer. The entire economic model of these platforms is built on your attention, and nothing captures attention like the twin engines of aspiration and inadequacy working together. Here's a simple way to understand the whole mechanism. Imagine you're playing a carnival game, and every time you play, you lose a little money. But the game is designed to look like the players around you are winning constantly. They cheer, they hold up prizes, they tell you how easy it was. So you keep playing, you keep losing, you never once question whether the game itself is rigged because the winners are so visible and the losses feel so personal. That carnival game is social media and money. The winners are front and center, amplified. The losses, the debt, the anxiety, the financial decisions made to maintain an image, those happen in private. You never see the credit card statement that funded the photo shoot. You never see the breakdown behind the "living my best life" caption. You only see what they chose to show you. Real wealth, meanwhile, is almost never on social media. The genuinely wealthy, the quietly, sustainably freedom-having wealthy, are almost never the ones posting about it, because they have no incentive to perform. They're not trying to sell you a course. They're not building a personal brand. They're just living, investing, compounding, quietly. The loudest voices about wealth are almost never the wealthiest voices, and we've mixed those two things up completely.
So what do you actually do? Because just stop comparing yourself is advice that sounds good and accomplishes almost nothing. Our comparison instinct doesn't switch off because we know it's irrational. We need something more practical than that. First, audit your feed like it's a budget. Your social media feed is not neutral. Every account you follow is either adding to your sense of enoughness or subtracting from it. Start treating the content you consume with the same intentionality you'd want to bring to your spending. Unfollow accounts that consistently make you feel like you're behind, not because you can't handle it emotionally, but because that feeling is costing you real money in the form of decisions you make when you're in that state. Second, replace aspirational consumption with aspirational education. There's a version of financial content online that is genuinely useful. Seek it out deliberately. Change what the algorithm learns about you. Third, create a personal financial benchmark and stick to it. The comparison instinct doesn't disappear, but you can redirect it. Instead of measuring yourself against strangers on the internet, measure yourself against your own past. Fourth, understand the difference between the appearance of wealth and the reality of it. This is fundamental. The car, the watch, the trip, these are liabilities dressed up as status symbols. Real wealth, the kind that actually changes your life, looks like ownership. The most powerful financial decision you can make right now might be the most boring one. Invest consistently, live below your means, and stop looking at what everyone else is doing. That strategy won't get you any likes, but in 20 years, it will get you something worth far more than likes. Here's the thought I want you to carry with you. There is a version of your financial future that is genuinely good. Not Lamborghini good, not yacht good, but actually good. Where you have choices, where you have security, where you wake up without financial dread, where your money is quietly working for you in the background while you live a life that belongs to you. That version of your future doesn't require you to earn more than everyone else. It doesn't require luck or a viral moment or a crypto windfall. It requires one thing above almost everything else: the ability to want what's actually within reach and to stop bleeding money trying to perform a life you saw on a screen. Social media didn't invent the desire to look successful. Now you see the machine. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The next time you feel that familiar pull, that quiet voice saying you're behind, you're less than, you should be further along by now, stop. Ask yourself, compared to what? Compared to whom? And is any of it even real? Because the most dangerous currency in the modern world isn't money. It's the illusion of it.